The new G series. I'm very excited about this. They are replacing the P series, so the P500A is no more. Now we have the G500A, and we're told everything is better. Installation, assembly, features, performance. I'm very excited to check it out. I really not to sound like a fanboy, but they are one of the very few companies who are starting to do something I've been asking for years. So the fanless configuration is now possible, saving you some cash if you already have the fans you'll know you use and won't use the stock fans. But we still have the Performance Edition and the Dirge Edition as well. This is the Dirge Edition and it's beautiful. A quick word about a few interesting things about the color variations. I really like the satin black. All the texture, all the lines come through much more clearly than on the white model. So I would actually choose the black one for DRGB, performance, or the fanless. But I really appreciate what they've done with the white because the color uniformity across all the materials is basically spot on, including all the screws. They're silver, so they kind of blend in with the white aesthetic, and they are silver but still steel, so you can use your magnetic screwdriver no problem. Thank you. And their commitment to consistency doesn't stop here because we have a white anti-GPU bracket that you install in the corner at the back, and it pushes on the PCI brackets, and look what happens to the GPU. It lifts the tail end, so it lifts this side like that basically, and gives you a perfectly flat GPU. Check it out. Sagging, not sagging. Sagging, not sagging. Nice. I really like all the user-friendly elements that are built into the G500A. So first of all, removing the front panel to access all your cooling is nice and easy, no hassle at all. And here we have the fans that are nicely accessible with these dual brackets on left and the right. So obviously the Lancool series and Lian Li has been, I feel like, an inspiration to what Phanteks has done here at the front. So instead of having a single front fan panel, we have these individual left and right fan brackets that expand to accommodate 140mm fans, and they contract inwards to install 120s if you're going that route. And that means you have absolutely no interference of the frame on airflow, and that is absolutely awesome and a huge benefit for having these separate left and right brackets. A quick shirt change. All right, back to business. They've refined the top as well from the P500 now, with its whole top mesh being removable. So it's the same mesh as the front, high performance, so good for airflow, good, relatively good for dust stuff. And now we have this unrestricted space to install fans or radiators. So up to 3 140 fans, 3 120s, or up to a 360 radiator. So with all this mesh and airflow potential, you would think this thing is competitive in terms of performance, right? Speaking of competitive, let's hear a message from today's video sponsor. The all-new HS series from Corsair is what your ears have been waiting for. The HS55 Stereo brings a comfortable, super lightweight, and awesome sounding headset to your budget gaming station with a fantastic sounding microphone. The HS65 Surround steps it up a notch with included USB dongle and Sound ID technology for next level audio, while the HS80 RGB USB is probably my new favorite daily driver because of these awesome breathable ear pads, a fantastic sounding clear microphone, and really powerful high-res drivers. Check out the full HS series down below. Okay, welcome back. Let's talk about the I/O. The I/O has been slightly refined with a combo audio jack, dual USB-A's, USB-C port, a reset switch, and a power button has shifted to the front with this beautiful ambient glow. I really like this white strip, and it's the only physical indication this is the performance model, aside from the fans, of course. If you get the fanless model or any others, this will become DRGB, and so is the strip on the power supply shroud. The metal mesh is basically the same in terms of porosity, in terms of dust capture, but the stamp has been inverse, so instead of this portion in the center being inwards, now it's outwards. I feel like they've redesigned it slightly so it has slightly different character, but also perhaps something in terms of rigidity. So yeah, it's a very sturdy panel, nothing's flexing, so all good. The only element that I'm a bit annoyed by is this rear side panel, just because it's a very thin and flimsy sheet piece of metal. So as you can see, if I remove this, I feel like I can just bend it in half. But on one hand, it's not contributing too much to the weight of the case, and you can see the adhesive foam pieces have been relocated from the panel onto the chassis frame itself. So when you close this, there's absolutely no vibrations, so that's a positive. As for the glass panel, we have adhesive parts all along the perimeter on the panel itself, so it's not going to vibrate either, but there's no way to secure the side panel to the case itself. The magnets are fairly strong, but still, in previous cases, we had the option to secure the panel to the case during transport, for example. That's something that is missing. The side panels are of course removable, so open them up just to 45 degrees and pull up. There's no screw on there, so be careful as well to reinstall them. The same thing goes for the one at the back. The interior remains unchanged, which is both a good thing because they're not trying to fix things that are broken, but they're not fixing broken things. For example, I still don't like these plastic covers for exiting cables. They are never aligned properly and they don't do a good job hiding cables in the first place. The PSU cutout, for example, is too long, and for regular 150mm power supplies, you can see the gap. But they're doing plenty of things right, starting with this cutout underneath the GPU for your PCIe cables that has also a cover. All your PCIe area here is open for a screwdriver to fit, and you don't have to fiddle around of trying to reconfigure the back section of the case to mount a vertical GPU. The only thing you need is an actual riser cable, which is sold separately, but you don't have to worry about reconfiguring the frame. I also noticed that we now have two captive motherboard standoffs, one in the center like normal and one right above it, so the motherboard stays nicely secured. And this cutout in front of the power supply shroud for the front radiators instead of fans is deep enough and is wide enough to support all types of configurations. That is awesome. You can see that whole shadowy area. That's all your space for radiators, my friend. A quick word about the illumination. So on the DRGB model, we have these three 140mm fans that are beautiful, very uniform and vibrant center that spills out across the mesh, so that's gorgeous. We have different modes, different color presets as well. I like the gradients because it's really uniform and the way they switch. The only thing that I wish that we could change the speed of this effect because I find it to be a little too fast. But in terms of uniformity between colors, between the fans, the power button strip here and the shroud strip, it's all perfect. The only thing is the shroud strip is a bit brighter than the rest. Otherwise, it's a very gorgeous approach to case illumination on a DRGB model. Everything is already routed for you, so you have to just control everything through the two buttons at the top. You can hold the mode button for 3 seconds to turn off all the illumination. You can also just simply connect the ARGB cable to your motherboard if you want to control that way. And if you have Phanteks accessories like my AAO cooler in there, I plug that into the case lighting and now it just follows what I have it set. And I'm very impressed with the uniformity of all the colors, even though everything is a different peripheral, you know? So that's awesome. Both storage and cable management are well taken care of at the back. Not only do we have plenty of width behind the, all the panels, we have 3 individual SSD caddies, and you can install up to 3 SSDs on each of these fly covers that cover all the cable management mess. Plus we have these 2 hard drive caddies that you install in front of the power supply in 2 positions. Easy peasy. And once you're done with cable management, you literally have to not think about it at all. That's it. It's done. As they say, out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so I think the biggest question mark is this thing better than the LAN Cool 3? And everybody's thinking it, right? It's the same price, $159 for the RGB version. In terms of sizes, they're identical, but I do prefer to work with the G500A just because it is much, much lighter. The LAN Cool 3 is an absolute monstrosity. It is so heavy. You need a good core to just work with that thing. So in terms of user experience, is definitely more user-friendly with this. And so when we look at temperatures on the CPU side, it is definitely in the top 5. And removing the front panel, that is just one way for me to test how restricted that front panel is, and it really is not. I feel like everyone will be happy with the included fans on the performance model. You don't have to look elsewhere to upgrade. So it's definitely competitive versus the LAN Cool 3 on the CPU side, and even outperforms the P500A. Now let's move on to the GPU side, and this really impressed me. I was not expecting to have this top 3 performance on the GPU side, even though we are separating just by a few degrees versus the other high-end cases as well, but still, it's a very good result. I'm surprised though because we don't have a perforated power supply shroud, which normally does help to remove some of the heat, especially on other cases. But yeah, well done with those 3 front fans. They move a lot of air. Now I run all my temperature tests at 100% fan speed so that I can have this comparative data with versus all the cases at their maximum potential of cooling at stock settings out of the box. But what about acoustics? Chances are you're not running full speed on the fans all the time. And so the G500A, you can massage the settings at 1000 RPM for the case to be absolutely quiet, but at full load, the case does get quiet. It is actually one of the loudest cases that I've measured Take a listen. So having heard that, I will say that at full blast, these fans produce a very pleasant, loud profile. You know, it's still like close to 47 decibels, but it's like this humming in the background that's not high pitched, and that's the important bit. I feel like it's a very competitive case that is necessary in the market in terms of just refining certain things from the P500A. It does perform better. It's going head to head versus the Lenco 3. They've revised the front panel, they've revised the top panel as well. The interior has remained the same with slight tweaks here and there, but it's a solid case and definitely deserves the Hardware Canucks Damn Good Award. All right, guys, I'm Dmitry. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think of it versus the Lenco 3? Let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you in the next video. And as always, responsibly, my friends.